The Saberleaf Network presents Name in Progress.
Welcome to the Saberleaf Network's podcast. You know who I am. I'm the host, Shawn Tyler. Always the host. Never not the host. Always the host. This is the first episode of Name in Progress, the podcast. As you know from me telling you about the podcast earlier, in this podcast, they really didn't, the executives, we all know how fun the executives are. They just kind of throw me under the bus and be like, yo, do stuff. Do something with this idea, which is kind of hard to do with no direction. So I just decide, okay, no direction? All right, no gimmick. It's just whatever. I want to talk about it, I talk about it. It's as simple as that. So this podcast is like Seinfeld. It's about nothing. Just topics. Probably screwed up topics, but topics nonetheless. But anyway, it's the very first episode. If you're watching this, you're listening to it more than likely, because who's going to stare at a screen of a crudely drawn image that looks like it's been drawn by a 3-year-old? The artist, I still don't know who drew it. They just sent it to me. Well, like I said, you're a part of history. Very first episode of a podcast. It's going straight to the moon. And if not, the executives ain't gonna be too happy. The first segment of the very first episode of the Saberleaf Network podcast, Name in Progress, always gotta put the channel branding in there, is a rant. This will always be the first segment, is a rant, or what I like to call rants. Rants. So, pop up the image on the screen. Today's rant topic is Scrappy Doo. Now, a lot, and I mean a lot, of people hate this character. And pretty much a lot means everybody, except me. I think Scrappy Doo is the best Doo in the whole Scooby-Doo universe. He might even be the best character in the Scooby-Doo universe. I mean, I gotta do is look at the facts. The facts are, Scrappy Doo will literally beat the shit out of any monster that appears. He is not scared. He ain't no coward. Puppy power and all that, you know. He'll put his dukes up while Shaggy and Scooby are running from a dude in a costume. That's the thing, is how many times have they done this? How many times have they done this where it's a legit guy in a costume and they're still scared? That's why the Zombie Island movie touches that. Tangents. That's what rants are about. Tangents. Look at the Zombie Island movie. They know that what they mostly deal with are people in masks. So what do they do when they encounter the zombies on Zombie Island? They try to take off its mask, because they know it's a person in a mask. So when Shaggy and Scooby are running away, Scrappy is busy like, yo, dude, you ain't no monster, you a human, and I'm gonna kick your ass. Like, Scrappy is literally the only logical person in that show, in my opinion, at this moment. He knows it's a person in a mask, so why should he run if it's probably old Mr. Jenkins trying to gain the gold hidden under the river since the gold rush of 1867? Meanwhile, everyone else is scared because he decided to dress up as a haunted fisherman. And then all we need to do is cut to the live-action Scooby-Doo movie. The first one, not the Cartoon Network one, the first one, very first one, with the alien monsters and luchador, Sean Bean, Island, crazy voodoo man with chicken. You know, all we need to do is look at that. Let me paint the scene. Mystery Machine, flashback. They're driving down a road. He literally stands in front of Daphne, pisses on her. They throw him out of the car. All right? This dude did something that I guarantee you a lot of people on the internet wanted to do. Let's get that straight. Scrappy Doo did something that a lot of people on the internet wanted to do, which is disgusting. That people want to do that. But we're going to skirt past that. We're going to hit a drift past that. So, we fast forward a little bit. Sean Bean, Mr. Sean Bean himself, Mr. Bean, decides to open an island called Monster Island. Scrappy, hearing this, decides, let me go to that island, abduct Sean Bean, and lock him up into a pit in a cave. He kept him there for 2 years. This man kidnapped Sean Bean, held them hostage for 2 years. And after those 2 years, the Mystery Inc. were separated at this point. They are no longer a group. He invites them all. But he invites them all there. Sean Bean does. But Scrappy is impersonating Sean Bean. It took 2 years for this plan to come together like this. Scrappy kidnapped Sean Bean and for 2 years learned to be him and built a robot to act like him. And then he brings Mystery Inc. back together. He brings them back together to solve a mystery of what's going on and why are all these people losing their minds and acting crazy. You want to know why? Because their souls are getting taken. You want to know why their souls are getting taken? Because Scrappy wants Scooby's soul. Scrappy is the main villain of this movie, and I love it because, again, he kidnapped a man, kept him for 2 years just to get Scooby to come to the island so he could take his soul so he could become Scooby-Doo. Like, how do you not like him as a character? This man, this dog, he's not even a man, he's a dog. He literally wanted to become his cousin or brother or whatever he is, just so then he could be, more liked by peons like yourselves. I cannot get over the fact that he kidnapped Sean Bean for 2 years just to do this. And mind you, I skirted past this a little bit. Not the whole pissing on Daphne thing, but bringing Mystery Inc. back together. Nobody would have done that but Scrappy. Nobody else could do that. They've been gone for probably months. I don't know. They didn't really time-lapse the video. They just kind of cut to Shaggy and Scooby smoking weed in their van. But obviously they haven't seen each other for months because when they spot each other on the airport and on the airplane, they're like, what the hell are you guys doing here? As you can tell, I only have 1 or 2 accents. But again, fantastic. He devised a plan. So I'm just going to end it with this. My main points of why Scrappy is the best character in all of Scooby-Doo. 1, he's not scared of no man in a mask. He'll beat the crap out of him like he would anybody else. Puppy power. 2, he kidnapped Sean Bean for 2 years. 3, he pissed on Daphne. Again, skirt past the reason why. Number 4, he wanted to eat Scooby's soul. And part 5, and number 5, he brought back Mystery Inc. to be in a second live-action movie. Quality stuff. Quality character work. Nobody can tell me otherwise that this is not the best character in Scooby-Doo. You can name one character, I will denounce them like that. It's impossible. You could tell me Shaggy itself, because he eats dog treats. Dude eats dog treats. There's the reason enough. Let's see, who else would be dope? Simple Plan the band itself. When was the last time they were relevant? Trying to think of actual Batman and Robin and Joker and Penguin. They should be sticking to their own franchise because that episode kinda sucked. The only character I could see even coming close to being Scrappy level. I can see two characters, Vincent Al Ghul and Mr. Periwinkle, whatever that parrot is from the Mystery Incorporated show. Those are the only two that I can see coming even remotely close. For the sole fact that Mystery Incorporated is a fantastic show, which is Vincent Al Ghul, and, well, Vincent Al Ghul was before that, but I know him from that show, and Periwinkle. And, best part about the show, they reference the god, Scrappy Doo. I don't understand why people hate this character, and I never will, because he is the best Doo, the only Doo, and the best character in Scooby-Doo. They should rename it Scrappy Doo.
You are listening to Name in Progress. Not just because you are a bunny, but because you are black.
Welcome to the next segment I like to call debunking stories on the internet that I can debunk from a white man, mind you, on the internet who doesn't have any scientific backing. Mind you, my scientific backing is that I'm a certified scientist, certified architect, certified lawyer, certified investigator, all by my own hands. I certified myself. So anything I say ever, do not take the advice of, because I am not certified by legal means. I am certified because I call myself certified. Now the legal stuff out of the way. This was posted on the Glitch in the Matrix story, or subreddit. It's a story on the Glitch in the Matrix subreddit by Tombo6969. Noise. It's titled, "My ex saw my doppelganger creepily following her one night." Now it's time to read the story. For the sake of context, I'll start by saying that when I was in my late teens, I used to live in a small town just outside Hamburg, not far from my girlfriend at the time. We used to spend a lot of time together and go out for lots of walks, as neither of us had cars. Every few days, I'd walk her to her Fahrschule, driving school, just up the road. Her classes always started pretty late into the evening, and it was winter in Germany, so the days were very short and it got dark early. I used to hate when she would walk there alone. Furthermore, after dropping her off at her classes, I always tried to be there to walk her home also. I would simply depart after dropping her off and return after the duration of her class. This is where shit gets weird. One particular evening, I dropped her off as normal, only about a 20-minute walk, traversing a quiet wooded park and a few short side streets to get there. I left to go back home for about an hour or so, then departed early so I could catch her before she left. For some reason, I arrived especially early this time, and I had to wait outside for about 20 minutes. It was very dark, and I was simply sitting at the bus stop across the street from the school. I waited, and waited, and waited, and she just wasn't exiting the doors to the school. I sat outside for probably 35 minutes, just waiting there. It should also be noted that I didn't have my phone on me at the time. I thought it'd be a quick and easy excursion, so I didn't bring it. Clearly a mistake. At this point, I, of course, started to ponder. Has she already left? I must have missed her. She should be finished by now, etc. After about 40 minutes went by, I started contemplating heading back the way I came to see if she was walking alone, but I didn't want to risk it, just in case she hadn't actually left, so I remained there, awaiting nervously. This is the really weird part. So I'm sitting there, tapping my foot, and I see two people with flashlights walking up the street from the opposite direction, apparently looking for someone. I was like, WTF? I got up and approached to see what was going on. The two people searching were my girlfriend, who I was waiting for, and her mother. As soon as they saw me approaching, they said, "There you are! We've been looking all over for you. Where the hell have you been, and what the hell were you doing back there?" I said, "What do you mean? I've been here for 40 minutes waiting for you to leave school. Where'd you two just come from? What's going on?" "I finished early today and started walking back alone. I wasn't able to contact you because I had no phone, but I saw you following me. Why are you back here now? This isn't funny." I was dumbfounded. "What are you talking about? I've been right here for 45 minutes straight." Now, this is what my girlfriend saw from her perspective. After leaving slightly early from her class that day, she began walking astutely back home after noticing I hadn't arrived to pick her up yet. Assuming she would bump into me on the way, she wasn't worried about walking alone, and she confidently began heading home. She spotted me from about 500 meters away and witnessed me crossing the street. I have no idea how long of a distance 500 meters is, and I'm not going to look that up because I'm not willing to take the time for a podcast that was literally not finalized. Ever. You got that, lobster? Mm-hmm. Which I had actually done while walking towards the school. We're back in the story now, if you didn't know. Tangents. Again, tangents and nothing. That's what the podcast is about. She expected me to approach her and greet her, but it seems I didn't notice her across the street, and we walked right by one another. This was the last time she actually saw me before meeting me again at the bus stop. Regrettably, I used to be quite the prankster. I was always teasing and messing with her, so she assumed that's what I was doing then. She thought I was intentionally ignoring her so I would sneak around and scare her or something. I don't know. Either way, she didn't call my name because she thought I was being a dick. Lol. The creepy part. So after that initial interaction, I shortly thereafter arrived at the bus stop and proceeded to wait. She, on the other hand, had a very eventful walk. After she saw me initially, she kept walking towards home, expecting me to jump scare her or whatever, and her expectations, to her, seemed to be fulfilled. She began hearing footsteps behind her about 10 meters away. She knew it was me just fucking with her. She then looked back, and what she saw was me, following her in my exact outfit, walking exactly how I walk, just following her and staring at the ground. According to her, it was my exact face, hair color, and even physical demeanor. To her, it was beyond the shadow of a doubt that it was me following her. So damn strange. The doppelganger said nothing, never looked up, and kept a consistent 10 meters behind her. He followed her for a few minutes down the road, just being creepy AF. She, of course, turned forward again and laughed at my supposed pathetic attempt to scare her. But after an amount of time, she started getting weirded out and wondering WTF I was doing. Shortly thereafter, the footsteps stopped and she lost me around a bend in the road. She looked back confused and even called my name to no avail. She shrugged and continued forward through the wooded park near her home. It was a very quiet, dark, and creepy park, but she powered through it. Quick reminder that this entire time I was actually sitting at the bus stop. About halfway through the small park, she hears footsteps again, but they are much faster and heavier. She turns around to once again see me sprinting towards her full tilt, baggy jeans, heavy sweater, just sprinting as fast as I could. She saw my eyes glaring into hers and like staring into her soul. At this point, she was startled. She didn't know WTF was happening, and I was apparently booking it straight towards her. As the doppelganger got to about 10 meters away, he turned and ran down another pathway in the park, running towards a non-lit, pitch-dark section of the park, sprinting as fast as he could. Like WTF. She watched as I sprinted into the darkness and faded from view. The immense confusion sparked some worry in her. She was almost home and thought maybe I was running around to meet her on the other side of the park, or SMTH. I don't know why you couldn't just write something. Very simple, easy word to type. In fact, you can spell it like SOMETHING, something. Also, back in the story, she just wanted to get the hell out of that creepy-ass park. She really gave the doppelganger the benefit of the doubt that night, though. Lol. So she arrives home, asks her mother if I'd arrived, and sure enough, I never showed up. She tells her mom the whole story, and they begin to worry that something was wrong. They waited a few minutes, then decide to look around for me. When their attempts failed, they thought to look around near the driving school again, and that's where they found the real me at the bus stop. That's basically the whole story. It was extremely peculiar, and since that day, about 6 years ago, I've been wondering what the hell it could mean. I've heard that doppelgangers are omens of death, but lately I've been thinking about maybe it was some elaborate glitch or some kind of intersection of universes. What do you guys think? I hope you thought this was as interesting as I did. Thanks for reading. You're not welcome, mind you, for reading that, because of reasons. Now, I shall debunk this. I am not the expert in anything. If I was an expert in something, this world would be terribly off. Not well. To the guy who wrote this, nice story, I will say. Got the info out. Not boring at all. You didn't do excessive info, so I'm not shitting on your ability to tell stories. I'm not shitting on anything. I'm just debunking on something. So to the anonymous guy who wrote that story, Mr. Tonbo6969, nice. Just know that I'm just debunking the story with facts that I think are true. If they're not true, oh well. I guess I'm just not as smart as I claim I am with my fake certifications that I have made up myself. So first reason why I can debunk this. it's mainly the two encounters that she had. Number one, the first encounter, where she only saw the person looking down. My question is, if she only saw him looking down the first time, how did she see his face the first time? Because clothes and walk cycle, physical demeanor, the gait of somebody, those could all be similar to a different person's to an almost exact degree. Even with looks, you can look at Jason Statham and Cesaro with looks. Same with Jason Momoa and Roman Reigns with looks. They look very similar. So, in my opinion, I don't think it was a doppelganger. I think it was just somebody who looked very similar to, the person who wrote the story. As to the point where it's just a minute detail that you can't tell with, human perception, that tiny detail that proves it wasn't them. Now, the full speed sprinting one, I can only dumb down to, you just couldn't see them that well because they were sprinting past you. But that one's a little harder to explain. The first one's easier to explain. The second one's harder. The second one could full well be a doppelganger. I don't choose to believe it because I believe it was the sole fact that the person sprinted past them full speed and they just didn't really get a good look at their face. But that's the more believable encounter of the two, because the first one could literally just be another guy who was walking around that day and just doing nothing. So I'm going to choose not to believe in this story for those two reasons. And if the story is true, we'll never know. I'll never know, at least, because I'm not going to look into it. Because I don't care enough to look into it. I debunked it in my mind, and in your mind, maybe I debunked it. Maybe Tombo himself is listening to this, and he's like, you know what? That makes sense. But probably not. Because the people who technically, who believe in this stuff most of the time, will most of the time, believe in it, because it happened to them. It's not, like it happened to somebody else. So, like, ghost stories, I don't think are real. But if you encounter a ghost, that's when you think they're real. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it has to be a personal experience. I have to experience a glitch in the Matrix for me to start believing these glitches stories. Because I have not. I have not seen a single thing. I do believe in ghosts slightly because of personal experiences I had, but they weren't human ghosts. But I don't even know if it was a ghost. It could have just been, me hallucinating. So sorry to Tombo if I just ruined your whole life with this. I don't know who you are. And I'm not shitting on you. I'm not. I hope not. I just don't think this story is believable because of those two reasons of they just look similar, and the second encounter, she was just sprinting past. So I hope I clarified that for you enough.
You're listening to Name in Progress. Pour me a drink, bartender.
Our next segment is something I like to call, none of these names are finalized, by the way. I'm probably going to change them every single episode. Wikipedia stories. Now, I like to peruse through some Wikipedia subreddits from time to time and see what stuff I can find out about this world. I found an article about flirty fishing. It intrigued me enough, so I looked into it. Now, we're gonna look at the history of the group leading up right after the period where they stopped using flirty fishing. We're gonna look at the history of the group because it was made by a group. It's a term. It's a coin term from a group. We're gonna look at the history of the group from their start all the way up to the point where they stopped using flirty fishing, the term, and everything involved with it. And then we're going to go into talking about how it came about, what some of the stuff about it is, and then and that's essentially all we're going to talk about is just the group, a little bit about the group history, and then mostly about everything involved with flirty fishing. So, flirty fishing was a term coined by the Children of God. Yes, a cult. What we're talking about is about a cult. So, some real high-quality stuff in this. The religious group was founded in Huntington Beach, California in the year 1968 and was originally called Teens for Christ. This cult would spread the message of the system, which was salvation, that word is too big for me to fully say. Actually, I'm going to sound it out. Apocalypticism. Apocalypticism. Here we go. Apocalypticism. Spiritual revolution, happiness, and distrust of the outside world. The founder of the cult, David Berg, liked to call himself King, the last end-time prophet, Moses, and David. I don't know why that was a sentence in an article about Flirty Fishing, because I did look at more than just the Wikipedia page. I don't know why that was a sentence. Like, no shit, he called himself David, because that's his name. I don't think that involved religious stuff, because there is a David in the Bible. I think. It's been a long time since I knew anything about the Bible, and that's not because I read it. I don't know what that means. What? I just confused myself. We're starting off great. Look, podcast is about nothing in tangents. That's what we're on about, confusing myself right now. Nothing in tangents. I always got to bring that up on the Saberleaf Network podcast, Name in Progress. Got to brand it every single segment, and if I don't, I get shot by the executives, which isn't true. Nobody's being harmed in the making of this podcast. At least I hope so. I don't know what the executives are doing. In fact, I don't know who they hired for this, but apparently there's like 4 people working on this, I think, maybe 5, and I'm one of them. I don't know who the other 4 are, but that's essentially, what's going on. Anyway, off of the tangent, we're going to go back. He also has gone on to call himself God's prophet for the contemporary world. Picking up vulnerable people, groups of followers formed communes in cities all over the world in 87 different countries. The leaders of this group were often called the Chain. I don't know why they were called the Chain, but they were called the Chain. The cult changed their name later on in 1968 to the Children of God. So in the same year, they changed their name. They're like Teens for Christ, not inclusive. That's not including everybody. Now we're the Children of God. David Berg was a former Christian and Missionary Alliance pastor, which is a Protestant denomination within the Keswickian Higher Life movement. Now, the Keswickian Higher Life movement is a Protestant tradition where they support the teachings of sanctification and spiritual perfection. Yes, I had to look up what both of those were, because I did not know either what the Keswickian Higher Life movement was and what a Missionary Alliance pastor was. Having a large number of members spawned communication problems that David Berg found a simple solution for. He'd publish works called Mo letters and send them out to people labeled on a mailing list. Overall, he published around 3,000 of these letters. By 1972, 130 total communities were made, showing the world that this movement was extremely popular. Like every single cult, extremely popular, depending. Well, it depends how big these communes were. I don't think I saw that info, how big they were. All I know is that there were 130 of them. There's more than 130 cities and towns, but they aren't big, so it depends. It depends. However, COG, so I like to call him from time to time, I think this is the only time I call him COG, would be abolished in the year 1978 amidst numerous scandals involving FFing, which we will get to later. Because that's the last half, all the scandals. The group lost members while the ones who stayed had to reorganize the entire system that they had developed. The remaining members became the Family of Love and focused on international expansion. Now that the history of the group is out of the way, we can move on to the actual acts performed with FFing. Flirty Fishing is a form of religious prostitution where, through sexual actions, they would induct members into their cult. It was performed by female members. Men were allowed to participate, but they weren't able to produce the same results as women, according to a website. I don't state sources because you can take everything I say as fact, and if you don't, you can look it up yourself. To be honest, I would recommend looking this up yourself as well. Find info that I probably didn't include because I didn't understand it. But pretty much, I essentially went, here's what I did. You know what, here's why I did tangents. I don't know. I'm just riffing. All right, that's how we do. We riff. Here's what I do. I looked up essentially Flirty Fishing and just looked at the first page of Google. went through all the links on the first page of Google that were there on just normal Google search, and those are all the websites I used. Some of them might be different, but most of them will be the same. I just clicked on any link that brought me to a website that I didn't visit before, and I looked for any new info, essentially. That's what I did. So there's my sources, the first page of Google. And it was performed, these actions, from about 1974 to 1987, the Flirty Fishing actions. The whole idea, or term, of FFing is derived from Matthew 4:19, and he saith unto them, Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Flirty fishing was mainly used as a way of proselytizing. Proselytizing, in essence, is the act of forcing someone into a religion through coercion. The cult didn't promote sex through flirty fishing and simply expected you to show love through sexual actions. The coercion, as you can tell in this case, is the sex. He can go so far as to boast it was 3,000 more times effective than anything else they did. I don't know the math on that. I will never figure out the math on that, for I am bad at math. From a website called davidberg.org, there you go. I actually listed a source. Apparently, they state that this was a way to show God's love through a sexual nature. Flirty fishing also funded the cult, along with political protection and any other favors they may need. At one point, there were over 10,000 full-time members. In addition, by the time flirty fishing ended, they claimed 223,311 men were fished. Even some famous people were involved, which include Reverend Joaquin Phoenix, 2 members of Fleetwood Mac, and Rose McGowan. I don't know who Rose McGowan is. I at least know who Fleetwood Mac is, and of course I know the Phoenix brothers. Joaquin, because of the Joker, and River, because I watched a Ghost Adventures episode, which is terrible that I only know him from that, but that's what you get when, I don't watch anything. Like, I don't watch movies. I watch anime. That's it. However, tangents, people. That's what we go on. Nothing in tangents. However, this way of recruiting people for your movement comes with many scandals and controversies. The cult had 2 terms used to describe you in the cult: shiners and shamers. Shamers were, shiners, I should say, were people who did well, selling pamphlets and getting people on board with the group. Shamers were the opposite and couldn't get many results. The leaders would often punish the shamers, including one Jerry Goldland, a former member of the Children of God. In one instance, he did so poorly on recruitment that he was forced to sit out on his own wedding ceremony, which I don't know how that works. The leaders would force people to do stuff they weren't fond of. In fact, when flirty fishing was introduced, many people simply left the cult out of frustration. Women were constantly getting reminded that their bodies weren't theirs to control. He took Corinthians 6:19-20 and used it to his advantage. David Berg did. And here's the Bible lines. What? Do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God, and that you are not your own? For you were bought at a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. Due to this, women felt forced to continuously recruit men using their body and even went as far as working an escort call agency. There's even a pamphlet written by one woman instructing others how to work at one, and I read most of it. There is a website that's kind of like Wikipedia, but it has a bunch of their, I'm going to call it propaganda, letters and stuff, and I've looked at most of them, and most of them are comics about having sex to get people into this cult. Some of them are wild. Some of them are wild. Sexual sharing was a common practice too. Women would be passed around from man to man in the communities because she had to put her faith, her family, and the group first. We're getting into some juicy stuff now. They were also convinced that men raping them was somehow their fault, and that when they said no, it really meant yes. David Berg would ask women to yield to the rapist because they might die if they resist, and the rapist would just have sex with their dead body. Women would also get STDs from the line of work, leading David Berg to pass it off by saying Jesus probably had an STD, so there's no shame in having one. He also believed feminists were selfish for the ideas they believed in, putting the icing on the cake right there, the little topping of the cherry, if you shall will. One of the more messed up controversies, because that wasn't the most messed up one, forcing women to just be just sexual tools wasn't messed up. This is, this is a next level in the messed up. One of the more messed up controversies involves Ricky Rodriguez, known as David Ito in the cult. Ricky was raised inside one of these communities as David's son. Berg would publish a book called The Book of David Ito to teach people on how to raise their child. This book featured heavily the theme of pedophilia and having sex with children. This would let the child explore sexuality naturally. We'll cycle back to this later, because that's the next step up in the messed up controversies level. David Ito would defect from the cult in the year 2000 and would release home videos of him sitting in front of weapons, including guns and knives. In 2005, Ricky made a plan to kill David and his family. On his way to commit this deed, he encountered his nanny, who was another person who sexually abused him, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people did in this cult. They went to dinner and headed towards Ricky's home. Inside, Ricky would stab his nanny to death and proceed to shoot himself after he killed her. In fact, multiple former members of this cult have gone on to kill themselves from the trauma they received. Children were very often abused in this cult. I told you we would cycle back to this. Punishments were severe physically and mentally. One child was forced to go 3 months eating food alone and could not talk to anyone. Multiple children were beaten, and Jerry Golan quotes that Berg always said he found a coat hanger useful for beating kids. David Berg would run a sex ring of children and even had sex with his own daughter Faith on multiple occasions. Because why not? This is a good first episode and good segment, really. Just talking about women being used sexually as tools and children getting, raped, essentially, molested. Good old pedophilia. It wouldn't stop with just David. Most members of the cult would sexually abuse children. It doesn't help that the cult defined an adult as someone at the age of 12 or above. David Berg has written, God created boys and girls, able to have children by about 12 years of age. There are apparently pictures of multiple women blowing children, and a picture of a woman touching a toddler inappropriately with the caption, "What? They told us to go to bed." I don't know the legality of this back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, but if this was going on today, they would be shut down. Incest was common as well, because, again, why not? Parents of children were encouraged to have sex with their kids to indoctrinate them into the cult. Most children were born as Jesus babies. These were the children born from Flirty Fishing, because their group prohibited the use of any form of contraception. Eventually, they would end this practice in most part to the AIDS epidemic in the 80s. The group would never pick up these practices again, but claim to this day that the message they provide is the exact same as the one in the past. Which is, it's probably a good message that just went about it wrong in the early days. I think they're still around, actually. I'm not sure. It's another topic for another day if the children of God are still around. In 1994, in Portugal, David Berg would die. He'd be buried in Costa de Caparica Cemetery. I don't know how to pronounce that. But would be cremated later on. The cult would distance themselves from these viewpoints as time went on, even more so after David's death. Now, that was a fun little segment about pedophilia and women being used sexually. Always a fantastic time on this podcast. Always a good old dandy time on this Saberleaf Network podcast titled Name in Progress. Dandy time. Now, if you want to go look into this even more, go ahead. If you don't, because of what I talked about, that's why I'm here. I look up the weird stuff so you don't have to, essentially.
You are listening to Name in Progress. I want to have bestiality sex with your wife.
Welcome to a segment, our next segment, that I like to call Dream Journal. It's where I talk about any weird dream that I've had, any weird dream that you have had that you decide to send to me. Since this is the first episode, obviously it's my dream. If I have special guests, it might be their dream. Who knows? But this dream, I like to call. Now, I like to call, but it's really just terms that I use to remember the dream. Bigfoot and bear. So, I'm driving a car. This is how the dream starts. I'm driving my car in like a freeway, complete different city than what I live in. Buildings everywhere. It's like an expressway with a bunch of different branching paths. Now, this is a short dream that I can remember. This is a very short one. So, I don't know. It's very short, but very weird. So, I'm driving down. I hit an exit. I go down an exit. And I'm driving up to, like, a Shinto shrine. A Japanese-style looking shrine with, like, the arched roof. All that stuff. Those little torii gates. So, I'm pulling up. And I'm, like, Grand Theft Autoing the pull-up. I'm, like, going onto the pavement, going like through stuff, driving on like graves or something. I'm like driving and then I get my car stuck, just sitting there, like, cause I pulled up like so far into it, cause I was trying to pull up so far into the middle of this pavement for some reason. I don't know why. It's just what I was doing. Now, my dreams like to confuse me. It's not like first person or third person, it likes to shift perspectives. It's not just one. It likes to shift. So I was first person for this whole part, and then it shifted. It shifted into a security camera point of view. I don't know why, but it had like the black and white filter, the kind of grainy look, like the image, the date in the top, all that stuff. My dreams do that. They just switch point of views for no reason. I'll be doing one thing, then all of a sudden it switches the point of view and I don't know what's going on anymore. Now we're looking at that and you just see my car sitting there on something, just sitting there. And there's woods ahead of where my car is, like in front of my car, and it's just sitting there. It's, not moving. The wheels are spinning, like I'm trying to move it. Like I'm like stuck, but I don't know why. I'm just stuck. But I can't tell that because I'm not in my own mind anymore. I'm in a security camera position. And then for some reason, it doesn't even zoom in on what happens. It's just there. But because it's weird. It's weird. What happens is Bigfoot pops up in the bushes in that woods that I mentioned. And again, it doesn't zoom in. He just shows up. He just pops up. Like the point of view is facing down towards my car. Like a security guard is watching it going, what the hell is going on? And then Bigfoot just pops up in the background. And right next to him, a bear pops up. And they're just staring at me, waving at the car. Not me, not the camera, because I'm the camera at this point, mind you. I'm still the camera. They just pop up, start waving at the car, and that's when I wake up. That's the end of the dream. Now, if you can explain this to me, that'd be fantastic, because I have no idea what was going on. It's literally just Bigfoot, bear, they're waving. And for some reason, you just decided to drive all the way to the middle of this pavement, get your car stuck, because again, there's like little stone pikes that are going up like graves, even though this is like a Shinto shrine. I don't know. This is just one of the dreams that I have, and they're all, like, some of them are normal. This is the weirdest one by far, I would think, so far in this one, or close enough to it. Some of them are fairly normal, but this is like the weirdest one that makes no sense. I cannot tell you what the correlation between any of this is, because usually my dreams follow a story. It's like I'm making my own short story in my head. Like it has a point where I start dreaming. Like obviously there was stuff before that to start this, but I start dreaming a certain point. And then I get to the end point when I wake up, but it's not the end. Like I can continue the dream from there if my brain decides to. I remember one time I had a dream, and this dream I remember, so we'll talk about it eventually. I woke up like in the middle of the night, and it was that dream. It was that part of the dream. Then I went back to sleep, and it continued the dream until an end point, and it ended at like the climax of the story. And then I woke up, and then I never had a similar dream again. It's like, okay, neat. Why? Why? How can some people not continue a dream, but I can continue a dream to the climax of a story and then stop dreaming it? my brain literally blue balls me. I've had moments where I'll be dreaming, and then it's the same dream I had like 3 months ago. Exact same. Nothing's changed. It's the exact same dream, and I dream it again. I've had a dream that I've dreamt like 4 times now, or like 3 times, and it's not a nightmare. It's not even close to that. It's just one of those weird-ass dreams. And it's like, why do I continuously dream this one dream? This one dream is just over and over and over. And the best part, I don't remember what it is anymore. I used to be able to remember it. But to be honest, I can't remember it anymore. So maybe I'll dream about it again tonight because I'm talking about it. I don't know, my brain is just firing on different cylinders than everybody else's. People are dreaming nightmares. They're having good dreams like, hey, I was a millionaire. I'm having dreams where Bigfoot and a bear pop up out of the woods and just wave at me as I'm stuck in my car. But instead of me looking through my car windshield, I'm looking through a security camera point of view, even though I'm in the car. So it's me. It's not a different character. I'm still confused. It's not a different character. It's me in the car. And it was me in first person in the car. But for some reason, the perspective switch to the camera, I don't understand my brain sometimes, and it confuses me.
You're listening to Name in Progress. I see you know your judo well.
This next segment, I like to call, at this point, investigations. I don't know. I'm running out of ideas to call things. It's ONFOcoin.com. Apparently, according to somebody on the RBI subreddit, it's a pyramid scheme. So I looked into it. On the website, the first thing you see is decentralized cryptocurrency earned through network mining, forging the future of crypto. Now, immediately, I'm getting anti-censorship, anti-government vibes from this whole website. Most of this is going to be from their website. For the record, I'm not endorsing this cryptocurrency at all. You want to buy it, go ahead, but I'm not telling you to. All right? Just to be clear, I'm not telling you to buy this, get this cryptocurrency. In my opinion, don't get it. You want to make this decision that I personally think is stupid, go right ahead. So, I'm going to read the website now, essentially. What is ONFO? ONFO sets you free from the limits of banks and traditional currency. Social, signing up is easy and free. All you need is a referral code from a friend to become part of the revolution. I hope you guys are getting the pyramid scheme vibes this is sending off already. Or to sign up to ONFO, you need to get referred to by somebody else. Let that sink in real quick. Now back to reading off the website. Simple. ONFO was built for anyone and everyone. We've taken cryptocurrency back to the basics. Fair. No investment is needed. Every user has a chance to earn ONFO by sharing their referral code with others. How does it work? ONFO is designed to help you earn money quickly through network mining. Earn it. Earn ONFO by inviting your friends to use your unique referral code when they sign up. Invite lots of people and your balance will grow without spending a penny. Use it. ONFO can be sent anywhere in the world in seconds for a fraction of a cent. Connect with users, grow your network, and reap the rewards. What rewards are there? Is Tesla taking ONFO now? I 100% believe that this coin is actually worthless and no one will take it for payment on anything, including illegal drugs on Silk Road, if even that website was still up, which I don't even know if it's up again or if it's down. I don't know anything about the deep web anymore. I used to watch Mudahar go on it, but then I stopped because I couldn't catch up. There's so many of those episodes, man, and they're all like an hour long, and I don't have the time to deal with it. They're also featured on Hacker Noon, Forbes, and Crypto Daily. I only know Forbes, so not really trustworthy on that one. I've never heard of Hacker Noon or Crypto Daily. I don't think I want to. The Contact Us page only leads to a form to submit a request to their customer service. The white paper link leads to a 24-page PDF about ONFO. The next pieces of info will be from the PDF. Just so you know, the white paper link, which apparently is for every cryptocurrency. It's a cryptocurrency built on a fork of Stellar Consensus Protocol. I wish I knew what that meant, but I can't tell you. So you're just going to have to look that up yourself because, again, this podcast is supposed to be very bad, and it already is. You already know. Apparently, they're going to insert coins into the market to keep it stable as well. They claim that crypto solves problems that paper money doesn't. Problem 1 is government corruption and inefficiency, particularly in monetary policy, taxation, and spending. Problem 2 is inefficient and costly financial systems and institutions. Problem 3 is counterfeiting. Problem 4 is fraud. Problem 5 is high transaction costs. Problem 6 is high exchange rates. And the final problem is unjust financial exclusion. Further reading of the white paper link proves my theory that this crypto is mainly anti-government. They don't like the government due to corruption, which every government is corrupt. Technically, it depends on certain things. Like, eventually, if you have power, the power will corrupt you. That is a fact. Most people, if they were put in power for like years and years and years and years, will get corrupt for the sole fact that they'll just realize that they have all the power and can do anything they want. They also don't want people touching their money, essentially, like banks and stuff. They don't want banks. They don't want a centralized money system. They want to hold on to all their money and keep it safe themselves, which they can do entirely if they want to. They don't have to use a bank. The PDF claims that crypto's only problem is people don't understand anything about crypto, which is true. I mean, some people know about crypto. I don't know shit about crypto. ONFO is the solution to that problem, so they say. They claim it's designed to 1. Require no direct purchase for early adopters. 2. Be extremely easy to use. 3. Only require internet access or a smartphone. There's an asterisk after this statement, which I don't think I ever find the asterisk for that statement. 4. Maintain a stable price. And 5. Generously incentivize the one critical attribute that determines value in cryptocurrency: network strength. The way to gain this coin is by signing up and inviting another person to join. You get 10 coins for every person you sign up in your country and 15 for every person you sign up outside of your country. You also get rewarded if the person you signed up signs somebody up, and so on. This is literally a pyramid scheme at this point. Just so you know, it's literally like the person at the top is getting a bunch of coins because they used a referral code so that everybody else who signs up, eventually they get all the coins. It's literally a pyramid scheme. It works its way to the top. That's what a pyramid scheme is. It's working its way to the top. That's why it's a pyramid and not a rectangle. It's not a circle scheme. It's not a squircle. It's not a squirtle. I don't know. I'm riffing. Tangents and nothing. Saberleaf Network Podcast, Name of Progress, brand it every single segment. That's what we do here. I am slightly confused as to how you get many people to join if no one can join without a referral code. I don't know about you, but if one of my friends sent me a sketchy code to join up on a site that looks like this, I wouldn't click that anytime soon. The more users you add to the site, the more coins you get daily. Which I don't know how that works. I don't know how that one works. Do you get coins daily as well? Or do you just get coins from people signing up? For a coin with a claim to privacy, it's kind of hypocritical that they ask you to use your real name. Just so you know, they ask you to use your real name. Which, it's not really private at that point. Is it? But it kind of is. Because it's money. So I guess it's kind of private. But still, I'd prefer not to use my real name on the internet at any point. Except for my YouTube channel. As far as you're concerned, it's my real name, and keep it that way. If you use a fake name on their site, they will get rid of your account, essentially. They can get rid of your account if they find out it's a fake name. They have an app for their coin that lets them go around the world to undeveloped countries that have phones. It's essentially, they have an app. Who doesn't? I might have an app, for all I know. They also say they could become bigger than social media apps, which is very unlikely because even TikTok is a social media app, and that just became the #1 website in the world. as you know, it became more popular than Google, the website itself, probably because some people are using Bing for like flat earth conspiracies. But how do we know the earth isn't really a squirrel? That's another topic for another day, I would think. According to them, the ONFO coin will never go above the value of $1 through a process called coin splitting. I wish I could explain it to you, but I'm not good with anything about money. So don't ask me about coin splitting, because I don't even know if that's just a cryptocurrency thing. If you hold the percentage of ONFO, when an inflation of that happens, you will receive more coins to accommodate for that inflation. The theme throughout this whole PDF so far is get people to sign up to get more coins. Very pyramid scheme-like. Further, we're not done with this white paper link in this PDF, which is an example of how much coin you would gain from people you signed up by signing up with other people. Seems like the first would get less, but would still be gaining a lot if they made a bunch of people sign up for ONFO. The limit for ONFO coin is 200 billion tokens. That's how much they made. That's how much they have. These coins have been pre-mined by ONFO and are held in multiple accounts to hand out to people. Only a select amount of that 200 billion is considered circulating supply. Just so you know. So that 200 billion is not the full amount of coins you can get. Some of it is being used for other stuff. Rewards for getting people to join will change to suit the needs of the network or if the growth administrative support. Or if the growth makes it change. About 160 billion, this is where we get into how much, you can have. So about 160 billion is available to people. So that 160 billion is how much coin there is at the point. They will add more if they need to, but for now it's 160 billion from when I looked at it. The 40 billion leftovers is for administrative support. The founders and builders will receive 8% of the tokens outside of the circulating supply. They claim that ONFO will be traded on crypto exchanges throughout the world. They have a system in place where users will vote on major changes to the network currency as the ecosystem matures, which is actually a good thing that they're going to have the people help decide what's going to happen, because mainly their whole thing is getting people to get the coin. That's the point. They're for the people. They're for, free the people, free the glutens. They're for the people, anti-government for the people. So that's good old democracy. Like, good democracy, I would think. No electoral college, just straight vote. A direct quote from the PDF is, "At our core, we are waging a war against corruption and manipulation of the people and their hard-earned assets." Here's another direct quote. It is secured by mathematics and consensus rather than old-world mechanisms of corruption and manipulation. The end of the PDF is them saying, "Long live the people's currency." The people. Again, for the people. Viva la revolucion. They're also asking for donations for Bitcoin, even though they complained about it and everything is supposedly pre-mined. Now, I don't know why I wrote that in general. They hate Bitcoin because of what Bitcoin is. They don't hate the coin itself. They hate the fact that it exists. Essentially, it's like a blooming thing and you have to pay for it or something. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked at this, and this is a script that I'm reading off of. I'm like riffing and reading a script. It's very bad. Tangents. Saberleaf, name in progress, NIP, good old NIP. I don't know. This podcast is just out there, and I don't want to re-record these, and I'm not going to. This is what? What? Oh, Stone Cold. Oh, Stone Cold is back again. He's gonna read a little sentence. I don't know everything about cryptocurrency, but this shit whack. Thank you, Stone Cold, for showing up. I don't know what's going on anymore. This podcast is just fucked. If you want a podcast where we literally don't talk about the topic for like 5 minutes straight, this is the podcast for you, my guy. It's not even on Spotify. It's a YouTube video, so you might see ads depending on what I do with this. You won't see ads. If this gets famous enough, I'll move it to something, but I don't feel like paying to put it on a podcast hosting thing if nobody's going to listen to it in the first place. It's not a good investment at first. I need to see some return. If I don't see a return of investment in the first few years, it wasn't a good investment. I need to see a little bit of return. It's time for everyone's favorite game, What are we signing away by not reading the terms of service? Because yes, I have read the terms of service and the privacy policy. First, you have to keep your account info up to date. Anything that changes the info, you got to change it. Useful things. I changed my name. Type that in. I changed my gender. Type that in. Stuff like that. Very easy, very simple. If you don't, your account go bye-bye. If you don't want to keep it up to date, they can get rid of your account. Funny that they don't allow pyramid schemes to be sent over the service when they themselves represent a pyramid scheme. That's kind of because they don't want to associate with it. Now, if I was a pyramid scheme, I wouldn't call myself a pyramid scheme, now would I? You know what? That might be a good business idea. The pyramid scheme that's a pyramid scheme. Inside a pyramid that's scheming. A literal pyramid scheme. The TOS states that ONFO can deny you collecting any more coin than what you have. ONFO can delete and deny people from accessing their service at any time without notice. Now it's time for the privacy policy. Woohoo! Yeah, that's what we've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woohoo! Under the registration tab, they say you might have to give some demographic information, some contact information, and maybe a unique identifier like your social security number. No idea why you would have to give your social security number, but in any case, if you decide to go on it and get some coin yourself, make an account, don't put in your social security number. That is not right. Let a government handle that. The government ain't going to be stealing your social security number because they know it anyway. They can steal it whenever they want. A website run by people for the people? I ain't trusting them with that. They can steal my identity. They track your movement through IP addresses. If someone sends you an ONFO coin, look out, you're in their database now. Must contact them at their website to get rid of your info in their database. You can't unsubscribe from service announcement updates, which makes sense because it's the service announcement. It's not like a newsletter. The economics of ONFO. We're back on the main page now. So most of what I say here is a direct quote from the website. From this point on, it's a direct quote unless it's some extra commentary. How does ONFO remain stable? The larger the network, the more stable the token. ONFO tries to take advantage of this concept by encouraging network growth. We also regulate the value of one token to be small through coin splits. Your share of the network always stays the same. For example, if you have 10 tokens and a 2-to-1 coin split occurs, you will immediately have 20 tokens. As time goes on, the number of outstanding ONFO tokens will always be proportional to the size of the network, causing a stabilizing effect on the value of the currency. This way, anyone who uses the system can think of their ONFO holdings much like their bank account, except that your ONFO holdings will increase as more people use it. What gives ONFO value? Rather than promoting the rising speculative value of each ONFO, we supply more units as market demand requires. Keeping ONFO low in value helps people think of it more as money than an investment. This will promote frequent use in commerce and demand for acceptance by business. Your tokens will dramatically increase in value as the network grows. Getting into ONFO early can make you very wealthy if you hold onto your coins. Once the network is sufficiently large, ONFO will be accepted by major merchants and retailers. No cryptocurrency to date has the potential to be so widely used. Can ONFO be bought? ONFO has all the normal attributes of a decentralized asset and is tradable even outside the app environment. Through crypto exchanges, you can trade ONFO for national currencies. Eventually, ONFO will be traded on exchanges throughout the world. In the meantime, we would certainly not recommend buying a couple pizzas with 10,000 ONFO like some poor soul did back in 2010 with 10,000 Bitcoin. Referral-based. Network mining is based on the idea that everyone benefits from the growth of the ONFO network. Therefore, through network mining, we incentivize current users to bring others into the service by rewarding them with ONFO. Perfectly fair. Now, not everyone has the resources to get involved with traditional cryptocurrency mining, but everyone knows a few people they can refer to. Network mining towers the barrier of entry and makes ONFO extremely accessible. Completely green. Unlike traditional cryptocurrency mining, which requires hardware that eats up power, ONFO is 100% person-to-person. ONFO is sustainable, simple, and convenient. The people behind this, the people who made ONFO, are J.R. Forsyth, Luke Killinger, Drew Patel, and Richard Forsyth. Needless to say, I don't think I need to say this, but, everyone always needs to say this on the internet. Don't give these guys any hate for this. They were just trying to make a cryptocurrency for the people, by the people, for the people. You feel me, brother? Viva la revolucion. I watched their YouTube videos, and they were wild. Some thumbnails were wild, too. One featured an artist rendition of a man getting brainwashed with the helmet thing they put on your head. The first one I watched was titled How to Sign Up for an ONFO Account at my.onfo.com. 3 people in the comments have mentioned the referral code, which means these 3 have signed up for this pyramid scheme. This video just goes through the steps of setting up an account for ONFO. First things first, you need a LinkedIn or a Facebook account to sign up. You make a username, which then becomes your referral code for others to use to sign up. To keep your account safe, you use 2-factor authentication and secure seed. Secure seed is a set of about 9 phrases you have to remember and which spot they're in. It goes over the whole pyramid scheme I already mentioned above. Once again, it will ask you to verify the secure seed by asking you to fill in 4 phrases all in the correct position. The website doesn't work on Microsoft Edge/Internet Explorer, though. If you have any problems with the website, you're required to clear your history and your browser cache. There's some articles in the description, and only one of them worked, and that one is biased for the sole fact is by one of the founders of ONFO, J.R. Forsyth. The article was called The People's Currency. In this article, he calls the government controlling money the largest systematic threat in the history of the world. He believes that governments are too self-centered to create a global economy similar to the EU and the euro. Somehow, he equates natural selection and currency by saying it's the best way to create this global currency. Throughout this whole process of investigating ONFO, I continued to get anti-government vibes almost every single new piece of media I came across. At the end of the article, he talked about everyone joining together to overthrow the government's control of money. Again, anti-government, anti-centralization, I said a lot in this so far. I'm going to stop saying that. The second video was called ONFO Revolution. This video, as you can guess, is very anti-government. Like everything is. Throughout the first 2/3 of the video, the narrator talks about how corrupt politicians are, laughing at you and your depreciating value as they continue taking money for themselves. Near the end, the narrator claims that ONFO is faster, cheaper, more secure, more stable, and more revolutionary than Bitcoin. After I watch these videos, I like to look at and read the whole description of it. In this one, we get another look at the statement, everyone will be heard. This hasn't changed from what we talked about earlier, where they have said that people will get a vote when something big changes on the site or with the coin. It also says in the description, and this is verbatim, it's more secure than a locked bank vault guarded by ninjas. The next video is the same video that was uploaded on the same day, and it has 38,000 views, which is way more than the actual first video that they uploaded. It's literally the same video. The fourth video I watched was called The US Dollar is Doomed. In this video, the music is very loud, and I could barely hear the person who was talking, and that is just a little advice in the past, in the future, I should say, of a video in the past from myself. Maybe make sure the audio of the person speaking is louder than the music, in my opinion. It's like when I watched a Game Theory, the 3rd episode of Game Theory recently. He had the music in the background at the end very loud, and I was like, yeah, you should turn that down. And I'm like, but I'm in 2021, and this was uploaded in 2011. I'm pretty sure he's not worried about that right now. In my opinion, for this video, the music is way too epic to be used in a video being used to promote a pyramid scheme. But to each man his own. The narrator states that cryptocurrencies can't be controlled by anyone. By my understanding, that isn't true. Cryptos can be controlled by the people who made it. ONFO itself has said that they will release more coins if the need for it arises as more people sign up. Even in their TOS, they say they can shut down ONFO or an ONFO account without notice. Seems like this crypto can be controlled. Granted, it could be by government, but it didn't specifically say by government. ONFO doesn't exclude anybody, but I do have a question. I want to know how much money they paid for all the stock footage they used. The 5th video I watched was called Segment 1 Intro to Crypto. This is the first video of a 10-part documentary about cryptocurrency. We'll learn secrets about the creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto. I only watched like 3 or 4 parts of this documentary because that's what they were up to when I looked at it on the YouTube channel. So if you want to go watch the full documentary, go to ONFO Coin's YouTube channel. It's linked on their website, onfocoin.com. There you go. Give them some clicks so they don't hate me. The thumbnail is a QR code that when scanned will probably lead to the ONFO website. I'm not scanning it, but you can. On top of revealing secrets about Bitcoin's creator, they will also unveil dark secrets about the world. By the way, not a single thread of information was shared in this entire video. For a documentary, it's not that informing, like a good documentary. I'm not joking. For this whole video, it was just describing the documentary. Couldn't you just make that the trailer and make it a 9-part documentary? Segment 2, Modern Slavery, is the next part of the documentary. In the description, there's a link to a website called slaveryfootprint.com. Naturally, I'm immediately interested and click on the link. This website will count how many slaves work for you based on questions that it asked you. I decided instead of entering actual information about my life to enter fake info. I put in answers like Winnipeg and I own copious amounts of jewelry. By some means undisclosed to me, they calculated my slave number as 77. The example in this video showed 29, so I like to say I'm above average on slaves. Not a good statement, but that's with the Winnipeg version of me in the multiverse. That damn slave owner with his slaves. Anyway, the description also gives you a Bitcoin wallet link to access the Bitcoin. The one Bitcoin that they're releasing every episode. This video talks about slavery in the modern world, a very good problem to talk about. That is a problem. Don't know what it has to do with Bitcoin or Satoshi Nakamoto or cryptocurrency in general, but there you go. Modern slavery. That's what that is about. The last video I watched of this whole thing was the third part, the rise of decentralization. There are multiple problems I had with this video. The video claims that open source tech can't be shut down by the government. I believe it can, for the sole fact that the government can walk into your house if they have a warrant and be like, yo, you can't have that open source on your computer. We deem it illegal because we are the government and we can tell you what to do because we are the government. Like a government. There I go saying again. That's the word of the day, and And not the person from Black Clover, because that show is trash. But anyway, let's get back. I believe that the government can't shut down open source because it's open source. Anybody can use it. But they can shut down people from using it. They could bust into my door if they had enough of a warrant and be like, yo, that open source thing is illegal. You got to take it off your computer because we got a warrant and we can tell you to do that. But they can't tell Joe Schmo down the street to do that because he didn't do anything wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? Again, word of the day. Exactly. If they wanted to, they can shut that bitch down fast. He also talks about the slavery thing again. More anti-government speech happens when he mentions corrupt politicians. Now, I don't know about you, but the worst people to show when talking about corrupt politicians is Hitler and Stalin, because that's what he showed. He popped up pictures of both of those guys. These evil leaders were cruel, not corrupt. They didn't get corrupted by power. They were already evil, and they got power. I'm pretty sure Hitler didn't just, when he got to power halfway through it, decide, you know what? I'm going to kill all the Jewish people. I'm pretty sure he didn't. But that, I don't know. I don't know him personally. I never knew him personally. For I am over hundreds of years old. I am a vampire from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I am Dio himself, Kono Dioda. For you weebs out there, if you shall will. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I seriously don't. My mind is going in directions of places that I do not want it to go. Anyway, you shouldn't show Hitler and Stalin when talking about corrupt politicians. You can't become corrupted if you're already literally killing copious amounts of people. He then talks about these corrupt politicians taxing you and shows the American Revolution and the Boston Massacre. In this situation, taxation wasn't a problem due to corruption, it was a problem due to no representation in their government. He mentions that Napster was shut down and the people behind it had no idea why. I have a reason, because it allowed people to share material across the internet violating copyright law. And it was very easy to shut it down. And now, if it was open source, they probably wouldn't have been able to shut it down that easy. But, I don't know how open source works with the government shutting it down. After this, he compares the government and banks holding money like Napster. somehow he compared the two. I don't know how. He then mentions how the government handling your money is infringing on your copyright. Just so you know, FYI, there's no fucking copyright on money you have. You can't equate printing money to losing copyright value, which he does, by the way, for the exact same reason. There's no copyright on money. The money you get, you don't technically own that money. Yes, you own that money, but you cannot. Somebody who takes the dollar, you can't be like, oh, that's copyright infringement. You're going to court. Like, nah, you just take it back or you tell them you stole and they go to prison. This isn't copyright law. This is thieving. Like, there's no copyright on money. They're like, I can copyright this podcast if I want to. You can't take the name. But you can't copyright money. People can take money. There's no copyright on money. I feel like this guy doesn't understand the concept of copyright and copyright laws. He mentions the whole everyone is able to use ONFO thing again, and one more time, they can't use it without internet, mind you. You need internet to use it. Not everyone has it. To be honest, I was fine with ONFO existing until this video. This video made me pissed off in every sense of the word. While I was watching it, I was like, oh my god, this video sucks. I can't watch anymore. I refuse to watch anymore. This is for the ONFO people, in case they're listening. Nothing I said in this podcast should matter to you. I'm just a random white dude on the internet in his 20s giving you hate. It's not even that much hate. I'm hating on your coin. And not really hating. It sounds like a pyramid scheme. There you go. That's belief. I'm believing. I'm hating the belief that it's a pyramid scheme. Let's all be grown-ups. There's no slander of character. Let's all be grown-ups. Leave this alone. Just never mention it again. I'm not going to watch your videos because I don't want to. If you don't want to listen to this podcast anymore, you don't have to. That's the best part about the internet. You can avoid one thing fully and just never speak of it again. This is for my listeners. In my unprofessional opinion, don't get ONFO. It's a guaranteed pyramid scheme. It's not really a guaranteed pyramid scheme, but it's pyramid scheme-like. If not, fits the theme of them very well. So again, if you want to, get ONFO Coin. If you don't. I personally would not, but that is also because I don't trust in cryptocurrency. And that's just me. Tangents, nothing, and NIP. Cryptocurrency. NFTs.
You are listening to Name in Progress. You built Auschwitz in my Minecraft server.
Our last segment for today's episode of Saberleaf Network's Name in Progress, Nothing in Tangents, is another Wikipedia reading story thing, article, whatever. The usual first page of Google stuff. This isn't as bad as the first one, just so you know. This is actually kind of funny. The topic I looked into was the court case titled United States versus one solid gold object in the form of a rooster. So obviously not on the level of pedophilia and sex with children, which is pedophilia, isn't it? Yeah, all right. Ooh, we're already getting... Well, pedophilia is loving children. Because you can be a Libraphile, and you're not really fucking books. I hope not, at least. You get some bad paper cuts on that one. What am I even talking about? I'm trying to talk about a golden rooster. All right. Richard Graves was a casino owner in Idaho in the 40s. However, he had to move out of Idaho because they banned slot machines in 1950. Now, I think slot machines are a scam. Because they're just big lights, big noise, get the brain pumping chemical of happy. And I think that is just a scam to get all your money. But that's a rants topic. That's what that is. I accidentally hit one of the sides of my, my groin, and it kind of hurts now, but that's what this podcast is about. Nothing tangents and a good old NIP. To avoid losing any business, we're back to the actual, thing that the topic is. Tangents, NIP, all that usual stuff. Graves would move to Sparks, Nevada to set up his new casino, the Sparks Nugget Casino. Set up off of the highway, heading through Nevada, he realized he should draw in tourists and travelers alike. Smart business move. A smart businessman. Stonks. At one point, he offered anybody $10,000 to sit on top of a flagpole situated in front of his casino. That wasn't his only idea to draw people in. Graves would open a restaurant in his casino, specializing in fried chicken. KFC, eat your heart out. He gonna ruin your business. Popeyes, you ain't gonna be worried. He decided to have a solid gold statue of a rooster put in front of it as a way to get people to stop by. In his casino. It was in his casino. It wasn't in front of his casino. It was in the casino in front of the restaurant in the casino. Don't know why I had to clarify that, but I did. He would contact the Mint in Washington, D.C. to help him make it, but they denied his request under the grounds of the legality of the statue, which we will talk about the law of the statue that led to the court case happening. Graves didn't want this to be the end of his attempt, so he'd contact the Shreve & Co. jewelry store to see if they could make it for him. After getting sent a wooden mock-up, Shreve would contact the Mint in San Francisco, and they would make the statue. The statue was 9.5 inches tall, 14 pounds, and 18 karat gold. The rooster statue was put into place in 1958. The United States government would find out about the statue and set the Secret Service to tell them it was illegal, like Washington, D.C. did at the first time. It was illegal to own the statue under the Gold Reserve Act of 1934. This act prohibited the private ownership of more than 50 ounces of gold. Graves would challenge the seizure and bring in his lawyer Paul Exalt, who I think would become a politician in Nevada based off of what I read, if I remember right. Anybody from Nevada can tell me if I'm wrong or right, if he was in office or anything in Nevada. The U.S. wanted to keep a certain amount of gold for themselves because at the time, the value of the U.S. dollar was still loosely based on the value of gold. In 1960, U.S. Marshals would raid the casino and seize the statue, placing it into a federal bank vault until the court case over it was finished. The case was held in 1962 as a civil forfeiture case in the District of Nevada. Multiple points were made during the trial. Graves claimed the statue was art. The government complied with this idea, but they claimed it didn't matter because it was being used as a commercial instrument. The court would have 2 art experts come in and confirm that the statue was indeed art, because it's a gold statue. Who's not going to say that's art? The attorney for the government would even argue with the judge whether or not statues had to be hollow or solid to be considered a statue. Now, I don't know about you, Mr. Lawyer for the government, but when was the last time you ever seen a hollow statue? I mean, hell, we're not talking like bull torture device grease statue, because that wasn't a statue. That was something you got in if they wanted to kill you. We're talking like Robert E. Lee statue that had a time capsule in it. We're talking that level of statue where it's filled. Because statues aren't hollow, last time I checked. Statues are usually filled. The government would argue that the existence of the statue is threatening economic security for America. Given an example, they would say that if 1 in 180 Americans would make an object similar to the statue, they would lose 25% of their gold reserve. Which, again, for some reason, the government thought that 1 in 180 Americans would be willing to pay for that much gold to be made into a statue similar to the size, shape, and object of the rooster statue to be had in their house. Why? Why would anybody do that? Rich people would, but I mean, I don't think there's 1 in 180 rich people in the world who are willing to do that. Americans, mind you, not just in the world. I mean Americans. Maybe the king of Saudi Arabia and Dubai they would. Oh no, I'm throwing shade on Saudi Arabia and Dubai. Might as well get a few countries hating me under my belt. Get canceled in them. Get a few cancellations. I'm gonna dip some epoxy in some Game Boys, and make a table out of the epoxy and make it dark up. I'm a reverse Logan Paul. Tangents, nothing, NIP. Need I say more? In the end, it was a unanimous decision that the statue was legal. They agreed that the statue wasn't an attempt to hoard gold, but was being used the exact same it was intended, as a form of advertising for his casino and nothing more. The statue would be returned to Graves and remain in his casino in 2013 when the casino was sold. Would be put up in auction, sold for $234,000. I have no idea where the statue is now. I did not see that anywhere in the articles I looked at in the first page of Google. And be great if one of you, the people I'm talking to now, if you are even listening to the podcast, the person who has this golden rooster, I would love to be sent it or see it. I wouldn't love to be sent it because you shouldn't know my address, because I don't even know my address. I'm stuck in like a void. I can't seem to get out, and the only thing I can do is just exist. The execs haven't let me see the outside world for a while, and even if they do, I don't even think it's real. Other than that, you shouldn't know anything about me other than my name's Shawn Tyler, which is my real name. Or is it? You will never know. Alright, you will never know if that is my real name or not. But yeah, I'd love to know if one of you have it. That'd be a fun thing. Send a picture of a golden rooster. Send a picture of a golden cock. I just set myself up for that one. Do not send me pictures of golden dicks. Please do not. That is not. Nope. If I look at my business email and I see that, I will personally find you in this void and find you.
You're listening to Name in Progress. You built Auschwitz in my Minecraft server?
Well, that's all the topics I have for you guys today. But what I do have is an overview of the next episode. We're going to talk about a furry, Godzilla, the Children of God cult. We're going to follow up on the Flirty Fishing that you just learned about. No way we weren't going to do that. An insane man, a plane crash, and I forget what the last one is, so you're just going to have to find out what it is along with me when, you listen to it. Whatever episode 2 is, if it even comes out. If you want to email me anything or do topic suggestions, you can email me, or like sponsorships, whatever the fuck you want. You could email me at saberleafstbusiness@gmail.com, or you can send me topics or dreams. I'll talk about a dream or a rant topic you want me to talk about. You can send that to me at that email or at my social medias like Twitter, twitter.com/saberleafst, Instagram.com/saberleafst, or on my Discord server, which will be linked in the description. Everything will be, from the Saberleaf executives, the gimmick, the people who are hiring people that are like 3 years old, are really bad at drawing some weird stuff, like some commissions. I'm the only one that really works here or does anything. But they want me to say we are your one source of true media. But from me personally, from the Outsider's book, because I steal everything I use, which is not an accurate account of what I do. Okay, scratch that. Police, don't listen to this. FBI, don't listen to this. This isn't for you, okay? This is not for you anymore. Anyway, stay golden, pony boys.
This has been Name in Progress, the good old NIP.